Today I'm going to read you a story from the Bible. It's taken from the book of Luke, chapter 15, and the name of the story is The Prodigal Son. And it's a story about a boy and his father. Jesus spent time with all sorts of people, even people who had done bad things. This made some people mad. Why is Jesus always around people who do bad things? They grumbled. Jesus heard them. So he told them this story. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger son, who was a bit wild and crazy, came to his father one day and said, "Dad, I want to leave here. Give me my share of the money so that I can leave." This made the father sad, but he split his money and gave his son the part that was his. The younger son packed his bag and left home. He went to a faraway country, and there he spent all his money on fancy parties, food, and clothing. Soon, he had no more money and no place to stay. Lucky for him, he found a man who let him sleep in his barn if the son agreed to feed the pigs. "What am I thinking?" the son said to himself as he fed the pigs. "The men who work for my father have more than enough to eat, and here I am starving to death. I'll go home and say to my father, 'Dad, I made a big mistake. I'm not good enough to be your son, but would you let me work for you?' So he went home. While he was still far away from his house, his father saw him. His father ran to him and threw his arms around him. The father put a ring on his finger, a bracelet on his wrist, and shoes on his feet, and ordered for a party to be thrown for him. The father was happy to have his son home. Jesus told this story to show people what God is like. We can never run too far or be too lost or bad for God not to love us and welcome us back.
Good morning, boys and girls. What a great story Elaine just told us. It's about a family. It's about a son that makes mistakes. Did you ever make a mistake? Maybe you colored in a library book, or you got a new shirt and it got torn. Or maybe you rode your bike in the street and you shouldn't have, because that could be really dangerous. Well, that story about the son is like us. We need to think about what it means to make a mistake. And does God want us? Still want us? He does. Let's take a look at that. Now, when I was little, by the time I was 16, we'd moved 21 times in 5 different states, 13 different towns. And it was really tiring. And I didn't get to know people very much. And twice I ran away. And this is true. In fact, that's a picture of me when I was about 8 with my dog Chucky. And that's in our farm. Because I was a kid that lived on a farm. Well, when I was almost 5, we were living in Joshua, Illinois. First time, actually we only lived here about 6 months. But I got tired of moving. So one day, I decided I was going to go where I wanted to go. I got out my little pack and I was putting things together. I put in maybe handkerchief, and I wanted my marbles, because I like to play marbles back then. And I wanted some matches, because I might want to make something or cook something. I wanted to draw, because I love to draw. So I put in my crayons, and I put in a piece of paper. And I put in a knife, so I could cut things if I needed to when I ate, and a spoon, and put in a Bible. Wow, that was about everything. Oh yeah, and I put in my old coonskin cap, because I wanted to wear a cap when I was on my little journey. So Chucky and I put all these things together, and we were going to maybe move to a place where we could be with someone else. And I remember that boy. That boy's name was Wayne Greenhagen. And I put all of this together, took a piece of rope, wrapped it around, because see, back then, we didn't have backpacks, at least little ones, that I could use as a little boy. So we put this all together, and I got myself, and I got Chucky and I some things to take with us, some food, and I would put this inside, and I'd be able to take care and hold it as I walked. And it kind of looked something like this. Yeah, that was me walking down the dirty road where I lived onto another bigger dirty road and went over to my neighbor's house with Chucky. It was really kind of interesting because when I met the other family, I began to tell them that I was going to find my own home. Here I was, only 5 years old. And I was bringing all this stuff from my home. I had this stuff that I was going to take with me and have my own family someday. You know what though? I had all the stuff that I thought was important. I had my Bible, but I got kind of lonely. And I kind of began to think that this was a mistake, because I was getting hungry and I was getting pretty tired and sleepy. Well, about that time, guess who came to the door? Guess who was looking for me? Guess who thought I was lost? Yeah, it was my mom Fernie and my dad Edson. They hadn't found me, and I'd been gone almost 6 hours. And I felt like, wow, I shouldn't have hurt them or made them feel sad. Because that's not what I wanted to do, but I did do it. And sometimes when we make a mistake, we do make other people sad. So I went home with Mom and Dad. And we had a little talk about running away and not letting other people know about it, making sure that I was okay. Today when I'm old, I think back on that. Yeah, just that little kid and his dog. Yeah, they felt safe. They didn't worry. But it wasn't the thing to do. And when you think about someday when you're leaving, like in this story with the father and with the son, he didn't think either. In fact, that's why they gave him a name. They called him Prodigal. Prodigal. And that means wasteful. This young man wasted a lot of things in his life. And when he got losing all of them, because what he wanted, he had to have money from Dad. He didn't have banks then, the same way we do today. But all he wanted his money. And he was going to take his money with him. The neat thing is that he ended up losing everything, and that made him think. Made him think about how important it was to be with Dad. You know, sometimes, why don't you take out a mirror and look at yourself? Maybe a little compact, something like that, or maybe a mirror from the bathroom. That's sort of like what God's doing. God's watching us. God's loving us. God's thinking about us. And I look around, and I see where I've been, and I see God there as if I were God watching. You know, if you were watching, for example, and Jesus was there on that cross for me, grabbing hold of me. When I make mistakes, Jesus was there to make sure I understood what God really wanted. God wanted us to make sure we were loved, make sure we were safe. And when he came home to his dad, that's just like us going to Jesus and going to our own Father and saying, I'm really sorry. God, thank you for watching after me, taking care of me, taking care of my dog Chucky and I, and helping Mom and Dad know where I was and how to look for me. Because God does something different. God isn't wasting, although this time God was sort of thinking about me and here I was making a mistake, but God was giving me grace. Grace is getting something maybe you don't deserve. At least not yet. But God knows if someone loves someone else, they can do almost anything. And loving them, maybe not liking what they did, or liking their mistakes, you still love them. You still want them. You want them in the family. Remember, God forgives us. No matter how far away we go, no matter how hard the mistakes are, God loves us. Just like our mom and dad did. So think about someone else and welcome them home, because God's welcoming you home too. Now have a great day today. It sure is. Bye for now.
Hello everybody, I'm here today to help you learn how to make one of these little bracelets from just stuff you have around the house. So what you need to start out with is some yarn to be used for your strap, some scissors, something to trace a shape for the little medallion. I recommend some kind of tape like masking tape or some scotch tape, some kind of leftover cardboard you have around the house, and a pen. The rest of this is just kind of for extra, for decoration. So what you want to start is you want to measure your wrist, find something to trace, or you can freehand it. I made these little circles already. What you do, cut them out, and you'll be making a nice pretty pattern to put on top of that. So start thinking about what you would like to put on there. And notice that you don't have to do a circle if you don't want to. I did mark out a little heart shape, so just use your imagination. If you want to do something simple though, you can do this little circle. So after you cut out the circle, you can do anything you want. You can write your name. I have some stickers here that I plan on using. So I picked one that I like. Just decorate this however you like. I'm just going to do something real simple just to show you. And now what you want to do, we're going to make the holes for where the strap is going to be entered. So with your pen, you should mark out a little further from the edge than you really think, because we're going to make a hole. We want to make sure that's still strong. And put one kind of directly across. For this, we're going to start making the hole. I recommend a hole punch, but if you don't have one like me, then you can just use scissors or a needle. Have your parents do this part, kids. So I would recommend, if you're going to use a needle or some scissors, put down something you don't mind getting scratched up. And so for the scissors, I just take the point and I just kind of move it in circles. And this will kind of help cut out. You can see, I don't know if you can see, but it's starting to get a little bit of a hole. And you just very carefully do this until you have a large enough hole for your string. And you can see if this will focus. Yep, we got a little hole there. I probably want a little more just because I'm going to have some of the yarn going through it. And then what you do once you're satisfied with that, you go to the other side and just start making that hole. And if you go in a circular motion, your hole will be more symmetrical, a little nicer. And you can also use the tip of your pen to help clear that out a little bit. All right, and so what you do, safely put your scissors away, move that out of the way, and we're gonna start making the wristband portion, like this portion here. So what you should do, get your yarn or whatever you decided, and you measure around your wrist, like I measured with this, and just add more than you need, because braiding, which we're gonna do, is gonna take up more. So cut out 3 equal strings, and if you can, put them all through the hole, going from the good part that you want to see back. So for this one, I didn't make these quite large enough, but you can put them through the hole like I have here. And I'm actually going to pause this, and I'm going to get those through the holes, and then I will be right back with you. All right, so now if we're at this point, we have gotten the string through the hole. And so right now I haven't done anything else other than pull the 3 strings through the hole. What you want to do, you hold at the end, put it around your finger, make a little loop, and then you want to pull the end of the 3 strings through. Don't worry if you miss one. You can always reach in and grab it. And then, once you get to this part, just pull the end till it's nice and snug. You don't worry if there's too much here. You can always cut that later. But you just pull it through so that it looks like this. All right, so set that down. And what you want to do is get your tape, because now it's time to braid. Excuse me, having a little bit of issue with my tape. Don't get any tape too sticky, just because you don't need to like duct tape or anything. This is just to hold it in place so it's a little easier for you to braid. So you just want to tape that part down. And if you can't see this very well, you can always look up on YouTube. There's some great tutorials on how to braid. What we're gonna do is just real simple. Separate into 3 like this. Okay. So I grab my 3 like this. You're gonna go over on the left, over on the right. See? And then you do left, and then over right. You're just gonna keep doing that. Braid left, and then right. It will be a little harder at the beginning because you're just starting that, but it's gonna be left and right all the way down. And basically what you want to do is you want to make it so it goes around your wrist and a little more, because this is going to be tied off completely, and you don't want to be you don't want it to be too small that it can't get over your hand. So I will just keep braiding until I get to the end, and then I will show you exactly what to do next, okay? Okay, so at this point, we have braided all the way until I wanted. So what you want to do now is don't tie it off. You want to remove the tape. And you have this. 1 second. Apologize. All right, and then you just want to make sure it's flat, and you want to put it through this other hole that you've made. So what I do is I pinch it, and I kind of twist it together, and I kind of push it against the hole, and you can kind of grab it and pull it through. Pull it through until you get the braid on the other side. And then just get the braided part to the outside. And then do what you did on the other side, and you make a nice knot where you make a loop, and then you pull this through. And then you just pull it tight. And so now it'll stay to the other side, and you can put it over your hand. Now I made mine a little small. That's why I always put more, leave more string than you need. But luckily yarn is stretchy, so. And then there it will work like this. You have a nice little bracelet, and you can customize it any way you want. If you're worried about all these extra strings, then you don't have to worry about, if you put too much, you can just cut it. So have your parents snip it. If you are worried about the ends fraying, you can get a little Elmer's glue and you can put it on the knot, just a little tiny bit, and that'll keep it from unraveling. Now, if you don't have yarn and you don't like that, you can always use some ribbon. I have that, and you would just cut out another shape, decorate it, and then you can use some kind of glue, and you can use that as the band. So hopefully you like that, and you can make something like this. You can add beads, you can do a lot of different things with just stuff around your house. So I hope you really enjoyed this, and I hope, you can have some fun with your parents or your friends making your own jewelry. Hope you enjoyed the message. Everyone worked really hard on it, so have a great day.